Hi, today we're going to talk about what you can do using the elements of artistry when you get feedback from your teachers that you need to be higher energy. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine because it feels like it is usually an extroverted teacher telling an introverted student. And as an introverted person, no. Do you ever just want to say that? I want to say that sometimes. When extroverts are like, you should be more fun. I am totally fun. I am a one-woman party. I have a great time. It's just a quiet time. It is what it is. So let's use the elements of artistry as guideposts that kind of can help us find small changes to help us present as higher energy without actually having to spend that energy. Because spending energy on pretending to be someone that I'm not feels ugh. First element of artistry that I always talk about is breath. So I just took a big breath. I'm doing such a good job leading through example or something. The rate at which you are breathing is fine because you haven't passed out. But are you tense in your upper back and neck? If you're tense there, we need to work on relaxing through there, whether it's massage, whether it's some kind of mind-body connection work. Once you're pretty relaxed, you're going to inhale like a normal to medium size inhalation, not super big, normal to medium. Notice what that did. And then you're going to exhale, but try to keep the sternum in the same place. This brought your posture upright just a little bit. It brought your chin away from your chest. It's really common to do this. And everybody blames phones, but look, I predate phones. Well, I predate cell phones. And I used to do this as a teenager all the time. And I got in trouble for glaring at people. I wasn't glaring, I just was slouching. Inhale and then maintain the lift as you exhale. If you are open through your collarbones, it projects a sense of being open to the experience that you're sharing with another person. So that's how your breath can really subtly help you project as higher energy. The next element of artistry is somatic awareness. This is a soapbox that I could get on and stay on for a while. Here's the reality. Neurodivergent people have different somatic awareness from neurotypical people. There is research demonstrating the difference, but the research is still really young, so we don't have actionable, this will help you. We know how to help 3-year-olds, but everybody outgrows being a 3. So I wish the research would grow with us. But the bottom line is neurodiverse people have different sensory inputs, they experience sensory input in a different way, they process it in a different way. Proprioception is often different. It develops at a different rate. There's a lot of differences here. So this means that your neurodiverse students are not going to develop their proprioception, which is their ability to sense where their body is in space. It doesn't develop at the same rate. It often lags. Sometimes it doesn't, but it often does lag. The next thing we need to keep in mind is that neurodiverse people, especially people on the autism spectrum, but ADHD, OCD, lots and lots of different diagnoses. Listen, neurodiverse people mask a lot, which is a fancy way of saying they pretend to be normal-ish. I pretend to be normal adjacent a lot. It's okay, but it also takes a lot of energy. So if you have a student who is coming to class, they started school at 8 a.m. and they went all the way and they come straight to you, listen, they might be worn out. So maybe the reason they are presenting as low energy is because they are. Pretending that you are neurotypical takes energy and effort and attention, and it is draining. So give people credit for the secret work they're doing. Another thing I learned while I was researching for this video is that about 70% of teens with autism spectrum disorder report difficulty sleeping. Technically, it was 69.0%. That's a lot. So if you have a student who seems tired all the time, instead of being punitive, What if you were curious? If you know that someone is struggling to get enough sleep, you will be a little bit more compassionate when they don't present as what you interpret as high energy. But let's talk about some somatic awareness approaches that can help you project higher energy. Somatic awareness is your awareness of your own body, and it includes proprioception, which I mentioned just a second ago is often slower to develop in neurodiverse people. So one of the best things you can do for yourself is to do an activity before class that gives a lot of input to your muscles and your joints. We're hoping for a whole body, fairly vigorous movement. It just kind of helps to wake up your sense of self. And the great news is there are some things you can do that look just like a neurotypical person's before class routine. So some sun salutations from yoga would be a really good option, just about any yoga, but the sun salutations in particular are great because they involve pushing, they involve transfers of weight. So that's one option. Crab walks, where you're like on your hands and your feet and you're getting your belly button to the sky and you're walking around. If anybody gives you a weird look, hey, you are opening through the front of your chest. You are working on your core. You also are giving that input that your body needs to really sense itself in space. Jumping jacks, which apparently the internet now calls starfish jumps. I don't know. I'm probably just going to stick with being the old lady that calls them jumping jacks, but it's the open and close motion. You got to how much space can you take up? See if you can get the range of motion for your arm. Can your finger take up more space on that pathway with each jumping jack that you do? Those are 3 options. They will not seem particularly odd to people as you're warming up, and they will help you develop somatic awareness. The next element of artistry is eye line, the line between your eyeballs and what you are looking at. In terms of projecting as higher energy in a class or audition situation, we're really talking about mostly eye contact with the teacher. Eye contact is very energy demanding for some people, and for other people, it's super easy and it's no big deal. You're probably thinking, yes, people on the autism spectrum find eye contact to be a very uncomfortable situation. You're not wrong, but did you know that introverts also don't usually love it? Yeah, I'm right here. I don't love eye contact, but I know that it's important to a lot of people. It emotionally feels connecting to a lot of people, but I still have to remind myself to make eye contact with every student in every class, and I get worn out. So if eye contact is a high demand activity for you, the first thing we need to do is recognize that so that you have permission from yourself to find a way to do this that works for you. I suggest you try to catch the teacher's eye at least once per class. Make that eye contact with them. I did the research, and in the United States, the average socially comfortable amount of time to maintain eye contact is 3 to 5 seconds. Anything longer than 5 seconds reads as aggressive in the US. If you're in another country, do a quick Google search. Try to make eye contact with a teacher for 3 to 5 seconds at least once every class. This happens pretty naturally if they are giving you one-on-one feedback. Make a little eye contact again. You can smile, or if you are not in the mood to smile, just a nod that ends on an up instead of, because remember how everyone thought I was a very, very angry. You don't want your nod to end down, especially if you're making eye contact, because then you get the angry eyebrows and it's very, bleh. You want your nod to end on the up. Open to the experience. And another opportunity to make that eye contact with your teacher is the beginning and end of class. Some teachers don't like to spend the time saying hello to individual students or saying goodbye to individual students. They just like a group reverence, and that's okay. You got to respect your teacher's preferences, but that is a really good time to try to make that little contact. You don't need to be making eye contact all day. That would read as creepy, but these are just some times when it's probably going to be easier to do. Also, with eyeline, as you are not making eye contact, you are taking a break from eye contact. It reads as more engaged if you are looking generally at the teacher, at their foot, at their arm, or if they are pointing to something. Notice where they are looking. If they are looking at their own arm, you should look there too. Imagine there are laser beams coming from their pupils, and that's where they're going. Try to keep your gaze, your eye line, in the physical area of what your teacher is talking about. Next on the list is line. Whew, line is a complicated thing, very complicated thing. Oh boy. So for today, we're just going to talk about line as the lines your body makes, because if you are getting the feedback that you seem low energy, it probably has also come with the feedback of you need to extend your energy to the tips of your body. That's a hard thing to teach people how to do. So how can we help you stretch your line as far as your teacher is expecting it to go? This goes back a lot to proprioception. If you don't know how long your body is, you don't know that your tendu could actually end up that far away from your midline. And if you just went through a growth spurt, you do not know how long your body is yet. So we need to make sure that you are accurately perceiving your body. To help with line specifically, I like to do things with a really long but low resistance band, where you will tie it around like the instep of your foot and then gently loop it around your leg a couple times and then hold it at the hip and then tendu and feel the tension, just that little extra bit of tension. You can wrap it around your back to help with your arms. Progressing Ballet Technique is going to be your favorite resource on this. They do a lot of really cool exercises that use those long, low resistance bands. A lot of times the cheapest way to get a really long band is to buy like a roll of it online and then just cut a bunch off for yourself. And then if you're me, you end up with random boxes in your basement, but you can share with your friends. Working with a long, low resistance band where you stretch the full length of your body is going to help you understand how long your physical line is. The next element of artistry is body carriage. So remember, to the beginning of the video, we talked about breath. We want to be up and open. Anything closed off is going to read as emotionally closed off. So we want to be open. This is why a lot of ballet teachers suggest that you hold your hands behind your back. It is hard to close down when your hands are behind your back. Another thing to be aware of is that sometimes neurodiversity impacts how stable someone's center of gravity is. It is not uncommon for neurodivergent people to have more mobility in their center of gravity as they are trying to stabilize. So a neurotypical person, like if you get bumped, it's a smaller correction. A lot of times for a neurodiverse person, a bump of the same magnitude is going to lead to a bigger correction. When we're working with body carriage, it's going to take more intentionality and probably more physical effort to maintain the lift that a neurotypical teacher is expecting. Core work will theoretically help. Again, there's research into the fact that there are these differences. There's not a lot of research in what to do to help bridge those differences. We're going back to those sun salutations help. Crab walks help. Planks. These are a lot of things that you can be doing before class. It looks like a normal warm-up, but it's helping you organize your body and your brain and the way they connect in a way that is more beneficial to you. Posture that's going to read as more energetic is uplifted, is open, has a lifted chin to match, and then has the eyes going towards the person that you are paying attention to. People assume you are paying attention to what you are looking at. It's not necessarily true, but These are the unspoken assumptions most people make. Let's move into dynamics. Dynamics is the quality of movement that you bring. So you could do a tendu very lightly, you could do a tendu very heavily. If you like imagery, if you have a really vivid imagination, you're going to gravitate towards this more. If you're a very analytical person, this might not feel authentic to you, and that's okay. If it doesn't feel authentic, don't worry about it. It's just a sign you don't have to do it. In terms of movement qualities, if you are getting feedback that you seem low energy, before class, brainstorm a list of high energy descriptor words and then think, okay, I'm gonna do my pliés sprightly. I'm gonna do my tendus bouncily. I'm gonna do my dégagés bubbly. So let's think about rondejam, because that one needs to be smooth. So we need an upbeat, smooth descriptor word. What about brightly? I'm going to do my rondejams brightly. So every time I pass through first, it's like a dimmer switch and I'm making that light brighter. Something like that. Before class, brainstorm or Google a list of descriptor words that are high energy and then try to match your quality of movement to that word. There will be some mismatches along the way. Welcome to nonverbal communication. There are always mismatches along the way. This is just something you can try. Musicality. Okay, I'm laughing because I'm currently up to my eyeballs in research on musicality, and I'm trying not to take you off the deep end with me. The short end of this is musicality. What you do needs to relate to the music in some way. There are a lot of ways you can relate movement to music. Your performance in class, the audition, the actual performance, whatever, your performance will be read as higher energy if you are reacting to the music and responding to the music the way your teacher anticipated. That requires mind reading. Good luck. Don't worry, I have actual actionable advice. So, knowing that there are lots of ways to respond to music, you can ask your teacher what their preference is. We start to run the risk of asking too many questions, and every teacher has their own tolerance for how many questions they will kind of allow, honestly. And it makes me sad that I'm about to say this, but when in doubt, I wouldn't ask. Because if you are already being seen as low energy, I just have a hunch that a question that felt out of left field, even though you know exactly where it's coming from, I just think we have a higher probability of that being misinterpreted. We're hoping to match your musical interpretation with the teacher's. Asking is not always the best option. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of different ways that your teacher might be reacting, responding, relating to the music, and then see if you can notice a pattern. First one is the beat. This is why we have counts. Notice where your teacher is on the actual counts. And then, do they have a preference? Are they usually in an open shape? Like, is the développé up on the count? Or do they have a preference for closed shapes on the count? Some people have a preference, some people don't. But the first thing you can look at is the beat. It's really common for teachers to relate their combination to the melody, especially in an adagio. That's probably where they are expecting to see the musicality, in an adagio. A more musically sophisticated teacher might organize their combinations around a harmony line or a bass line. So the bass is the bottom, and I guess technically it's part of harmony, but I was thinking of upper. So there's two ways to measure music, right? So the beat or the meter measures it horizontally through time, and then up and down measures the pitch. So like the low sound, the melody sound, a higher sound, and the way that they relate is the harmony. So you might have someone who's relating to either a note that is higher than the melody or a note that is lower than the melody. And if you can notice their preferences, you can try to model that in your own interpretation. And it's just like kind of a subconscious, hey, we are in sync. We're just looking for points of commonality because we're never going to get it all right. We just want to increase your chances of effective communication as much as possible. The next element of artistry is carving through three-dimensional space. This relates directly to somatic awareness, which is why I do somatic awareness first. You need to have an awareness of your body before you worry about the space around you. If you are still working on that awareness of your body, or, and this is super common among ballet dancers, if you are only aware of the front half of your body because you think of yourself as a paper doll, I really recommend you spend some time getting to know and pay attention to the back of your body. So if you are not prone to motion sickness, I recommend just rolling across the floor, like rolling downhill, but on a level surface. Just notice all the different places on your body that make contact with the floor. If you are prone to motion sickness, this is a bad idea. Do not do it. Another way to increase your awareness of the back of your body, the fact that your body is three-dimensional, is lay on your back and do a combination that way. And just notice what parts of your body are making contact with the ground when, and how much pressure is there. That's a critical step to being able to think about how you are moving through the space around you. You need to be like a round person. We're kind of cylindrical shaped. We talk about line in ballet so often, but line is two-dimensional and people are three-dimensional. So we need to take that proprioception, that somatic awareness, the line, we need to take that, and now we are bringing it into all three dimensions. It's also a really advanced concept. So I would not expect a beginning dancer to have a good sense of using the space behind them. But once you are aware of the back of your body, if you are often told that you are low energy, you need to raise your energy, blah, blah, blah. Imagine that you have like, I don't know, I'm thinking of Bing Bong. I just watched Inside Out with my niece, so I'm thinking of Bing Bong. But imagine someone or something that is loving and nurturing and totally supportive of you and literally has your back and is just gently pushing you towards the teacher just a little bit. Not enough that it transfers your weight. We're not actually moving forward, but just you have, maybe it's just a curtain, maybe it's a big fan, I don't know. But the awareness of the back of your body, use that as support to take yourself just a little bit forward. I have exaggerated it so that you can see it on a camera. It is not actually that big. It is that. And I'm not sure you could even see it. It's just a little bit. But let that awareness of the back of your body support you as you try to connect with your teacher better. The last element of artistry is acting. Okay, honestly, the whole point of this video has been to give you tools so that you don't have to rely so heavily on acting. If you are introverted, if you are dealing with something very stressful at home, like if you are neurodivergent and you spend most of your day trying to pretend or successfully pretending, depending on the day, that you are neurotypical, you are already tired, and acting, pretending to be someone that you are not, takes a lot of energy. So I hope that I've given you tools so that acting is kind of a last resort. I would brainstorm a list of different characters or people that you know. Doesn't really matter. You're not showing this list to anybody, but I would brainstorm some options of high energy people, characters. Again, Bing Bong works, so that if you have a really bad day, you have a go-to list. Maybe keep it on your phone, because if you're having a bad day, that is not the time to try to brainstorm anything. Acting high energy instead of finding small ways to authentically communicate higher energy should be your last resort. It's very taxing, but B, when we can't show up as ourselves in class, when we cannot come as who we really are, we don't learn as well. We don't have as much brain space available to take in the information. We do not feel emotionally safe enough to be completely present. So if you're relying on acting for every single class, it's not sustainable. Those are some tips, some different avenues to help you project higher energy. Some of us are very high energy, some of us are not. Some people are nitro brew coffee, some people are green tea. Everything is lovely, but we're different. As with all nonverbal communication, you're not gonna get it right all the time. Nobody bats 1,000. Miscommunications happen. That's why language was developed. but hopefully you have some tools now to better connect. Also, if you are a list person, do not memorize everything on this list. It is too much. You will probably not remember it all. And even if you do, it will seem weird because instead of being present for the moment, you are going through a very long list in your head. So pick something that either feels pretty easy to you, something that seems like it's, already pretty close to what you would naturally do, or something where you're like, ooh, I bet my teacher would really I bet that would have a high impact. Pick one thing, experiment with it for a little while, and then you can either make it part of your habits if you're getting good results, or you can just toss it away and try something else. Nobody can do everything. Nobody can be perfect. We're just doing the best we can. If you're interested in more of my thoughts, opinions, and rants about elements of artistry and ballet teaching in general, I have a monthly newsletter where I talk about both of those things. I also have teaching resources available on my website, which is where you sign up for the newsletter, geekyballerina.com. If you have other miscommunications in body language, leave me a comment. This is kind of my happy place, sitting down and being like, how can this element of artistry help this situation? I love doing it. I would be happy to do it for request, so let me know. I hope you have a really great class.